Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. If you're watching on YouTube or if you happen to catch us on Facebook, we are there as well. My name is Stacey Alden, and this is my channel. I really enjoy these conversations of best practices live with people I know and trust in the industry to provide the best advice and who are going through really interesting changes during this interesting time in the fitness industry. And if you happen to miss it, last week I was here with Jacob. I'm here again with Jacob from Wisconsin. And we are talking about the really nitty gritty part of the how when it comes to his fitness consultations or his new member onboarding consultations at his club. And if you missed our last video, go ahead and check it out. It's definitely saved on my YouTube channel. It's back in there on Facebook. Take a look at that video and watch it before diving into this one, because we're going to get into some more nitty gritty. So quick introduction of Jacob and his club of Razor Sharp Fitness, because the things they are doing right now are awesome. So Jacob is the general manager of Razor Sharp Fitness in Mount Pleasant and Racine, Wisconsin. He has been a personal trainer. He's kind of done all of it, which most of us, right, if we make our way into that role. Personal trainer, sports performance coach, group exercise instructor, sales associate, sports performance director, and now fitness manager. And he really strives to not only get to know his team really well, but also the members. So brings it to a more personal level, which is, I think, what helps him and his team accomplish what we're about to discuss. And he was recognized as the 2020 International Health Association and Racket Sports Association, or IRSA, as the Rising Star, which is known as an award that someone who's younger in the industry, who's really striving to not only improve and grow their own business, but also help create growth and improved experience in the fitness industry as a whole. So that was a big accomplishment in 2020. And their facility, so here's where really it's going to be important for you if you work for a club, whether you are the membership coordinator or you're the owner or director, or even if you are a group fitness manager or a group fitness instructor, what you can do to try to help your facility gain members during this time, because they have increased their membership by over 400 members because of this transition into this member consultation. So we talked last week again about the introduction and then the concept itself and the nitty gritty about that. But now we're going to get into the how. So I have 3 questions. They are in-depth questions, so we may go over on time, but that's okay. The questions I have are all about like the who and the how, and hopefully we can provide some examples to help you create what makes the most sense for your audience and your clientele at your gym. So here we go. My first question for Jacob today is, if you could describe in detail, as much as possible with the time we have today, what the member experience looks like before, during, and after this fitness consultation.
Sure. So last week we even talked about why this came to be, which was really focusing on what the member journey was all about. And so where it starts is before that fitness consult is the tour process, and then walking in the door and understanding why they're there. So we'll sit down with them, we'll start the needs analysis with them, and we'll try to figure out how we can create those connections based on those interests that they have. And while we're gaining that information, everything we talk about goes back to the fitness consultation. And it's ultimately the catch-all for us so that people can feel comfortable and unintimidated about how they're going to get engaged in the club right away. And that fitness consultation is really that starting point for them, that leap point. And we're going to get them in there as fast as possible so they can learn how that path goes. And then we explain the reasons based on their interests, why that fitness consultation is going to help them, and what their options are even from the fitness consultation. So whether it be, going to a group exercise class with somebody, or trying personal training session, learning about nutrition, or just setting up an actual plan like, hey, I want you to come 3 days a week into the club, even if it's doing your own thing, and be able to track that and have that discussion. So we're getting all of that information right when they walk in the door. And ultimately the fitness consultation is being hyped and ultimately sold all the time, even though every single person who signs up is going to get the fitness console. It's not like it's an option, but we're selling it so that when we talk about it inside the room, they're already excited about it. And then as we get into the actual fitness consult, it's all about connecting. That is the first and foremost thing what we focus on. And we know that the first impression is the key. And so many times when we get people into whether it be working with a personal trainer or meeting with somebody or whatever, we take them into an office or we take them into like this space that isn't always warm and fuzzy and again unwelcoming and those kind of things. So I think the first thing that we always need to look at is what does the room look like and what is the feel, and if we have somebody walk into that room, how are they going to react, right? And so first, the look and the feel, is it warm? Is it engaging? And then we're already a fitness center. That room doesn't need to be all about fitness.
Yeah.
It can be just, we have on our walls, we have like different statements of encouragement and motivation and pieces like that to get people excited and again, just comfortable inside of that space instead of, hey, look at this really healthy person that's on the wall, or look at all these, personal trainers that are doing stuff with clients and those kind of things. We kind of try to take that pressure off of the person walking into that room so they're feeling comfortable right away. And then it's all about how we connect with them and ask questions to them while focusing on that connection. So we'll ask questions, all the questions that in regards to what your goals are and how you're sleeping and what injuries you've had, the health history questionnaire, those are great ones. But then we dive even deeper than that. We try diving into the behavioral side of things and what motivates them and what's going to hold them accountable, and really diving down deep into personality pieces so that we know how we can connect people into not only the right areas, but also with the right person, because that is what is going to be the piece that keeps them around, is really that person that's going to be inside of there as well. And then with those questions, how can we relate, right? How can we relate as a person, so that fitness consultant to the person, or how could we relate our current members or somebody that just did a fitness consult and had a similar thing going on with them? How can we relate with that person and get this person to, again, just continue to break down that barrier so we can learn more and more about them as we go through the process. And then really we want to make sure that the member can drive the conversation. As we talked last week, it's really easy for us to be the driver and, oh, well, personal training is going to be great for you, or already putting them in that direction. And a lot of times that just isn't going to be the way that they're going to feel comfortable and confident and ultimately walk away with feeling they got great value out of it, considering we're forcing them to go through this process inside the club too. So I think that helps build trust for us. And then also it creates that emotional piece inside of the meeting, which is what we're looking for. And I think a lot of decisions that happen in the fitness industry do come from that emotional feeling as well. And then there's the big one is always the needs analysis. So understanding their needs and be able to create their opportunities to meet their needs. And again, that's where you breaking down those barriers, hearing all that information and being able to find that best opportunity for them is going to allow them to feel like they're most successful. And then really that understanding of the person starts coming in so heavily. So the ones that I wrote that I think are 4 keys, I think it's 4 keys for us. Yeah. What will help motivate them, right? Motivation. What kind of motivation they need? Do they need somebody barking at them? Do they need me being, super energetic and all of that? Or do they need somebody that's a calming influence on them, or maybe stress release is part of their fitness journey, and they need something more like that. So really tying that personality into it, and then and that motivation, and then what'll keep them accountable. So if they need, hey, you know what, I'm not going to do it on my own. I need somebody in front of me every single day, or every time I come to the club, I need somebody in front of me, right? And okay, great. That means that's this. Or I know that my issue might be my nutrition, or it might be this. Okay, how can we find ways to hold you accountable in that arena that you know that you need help with? And then what kind of personality will they be attracted to as well, right? So how can we start understanding that piece of, hey, you know what, this person is really energetic, or when they walked in the room, I felt like I needed to calm myself completely down. So maybe somebody that has that presence. So just how we can match our team's personality to that person as well. And then last but not least is, what's the type of setting that's going to be best for them? Is it individual? Is it going to be a small group? Is it going to be a large group? Is it going to be completely on their own? What is it that's going to be the one that fits best for them, so that we can really, again, dive down deep into what that needs analysis looks like. And then the last part of it, of really the fitness consultation, is their fitness journey is laid out for them. So they get to know the people who will be helping them with their fitness plan. So they're going to learn about the personal trainer that's going to work with them, the nutritionist, the group exercise instructor, the small group trainer, the massage therapist, whatever they are involved in. They're going to learn who that person is and already have a connection with that person, because they're being sold, even though it's not necessarily a sale, but they're being sold into, hey, this person is going to be the right one to help you along with your journey. And then we personalize that plan for them. So, hey, I'm going to come to the gym 3 days a week. 1 day is going to be group exercise. 1 day is going to be on my own doing cardio. 1 day personal training, whatever, again, their interests are. We really personalize that plan for them, and they know exactly, walking out that door, what the steps are to have them be successful through that journey. Then the last piece, after the fitness consultation, and I think ultimately this is where the true magic happens, is probably the best way to put it, is they're immediately surrounded by their team. The first thing that happens after the fitness consult is the fitness consultant sends out an email to the entire team and that client. So, hey, Stacy, you're going to be meeting with Jacob for personal training. You're going to be meeting with Marissa for group exercise. You're going to be meeting with Chris for nutrition. You're going to be all of these different things, and they're all included on that email. So the person knows if they have any questions or anything before that class or that session comes up, they're going to be able to reach out to that person right away. And then also, it's our team's job to reach out to that person individually and get them excited about coming to the class, the session, the whatever it is they have coming up to. Hey, so can't wait to see you. Looking forward to seeing you in class. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to introduce you to this great member that I have in there who I think you'll be a great fit with. And so that team plan really comes together, and also they'll know the exact schedule. So, hey, I'm going to see you on Wednesday at 10:30, and I'm going to see you on Saturday, and those kind of things. So we're already laying that plan out and laying the accountability for them to get involved with it too. And then we get into that first session. So they're coming to any one of those different items that it might be there. First, the director of that department is trying to introduce themselves to that person first. That's number one. And they're also CC'd in that email as well. So my group fitness director will be going to, our group power class to introduce themselves to that person. Our fitness director will be going to that personal training demo to introduce themselves. Really all across the board, the directors are engaged with it. It's just hey, you know what? I'm here. If you ever have issues or questions, I'm always somebody that you can reach out to. So we can kind of take that off the fitness consultant. I think that's an important piece, or else the fitness consultant just has too many things that they have to fill. So having that director be an important part of it too. And I think, hey, you get to meet your director right away. I think that just speaks volumes about the value of that person being a part of it. And then, of course, the instructor, the coach, the trainer, they introduce themselves at the first session. And most importantly, their goal is to connect them with somebody else in the class, or somebody, maybe even another personal training client that's working out before them. Their goal is to try to connect them with somebody else. So they kind of have that ambassador inside the room already, because the instructor still has to do their job for everybody. But they obviously are going to spend time with them. But if you can have a member get there, that's where you start building that community, which is so important. Again, we talked about that last week a good amount as well. And then the final thing is follow-up. So there is tons of follow-up when you're talking about getting this person in all the different areas that a person might get into. So how we've started is we're trying to just break it down very, very simply. And if they go to a group exercise class, the group exercise instructor is going to follow up after that session. Say, hey, it was so great seeing you. You did great in class. Hope you had a great time with Stacy. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Same thing if they go to like a team training session or a small group session, connect right afterwards. The trainer is going to track information through their program. And so after their first package of sessions, then they'll kind of lay out an entire, hey, this is what we tracked. This is what they did really well, what they didn't do well, what their struggles were, those kind of things, so that the FC has something to follow up with them on as well. The membership, so our membership team does a follow up with them. We're just integrating that right now, but it looks like we're doing like a 30 to 45 day follow up. But just how are things going at the club? Anything I can help with, things like that. And then when does the fitness consultant actually do follow up? Our fitness consultant cannot do all the follow up. So the goal is, how can she just have certain things that she does, or get all of this information so that she can do a follow up with that person, but she can't get all of that herself. So she is always prepping for that 90-day follow up. That's our big one. We know that after 90 days, that's when people fall off. All the research says if somebody's going to fall off, it's at that 90-day point. So everything we're focused on is stay engaged for that 90 days. If we have somebody engaged for 90 days, we're so confident that we'll keep them for a really, really long time. And so that's what the FC's goal is how can we stay engaged? And as we keep going through some of these questions, we'll find out how important, and that's what we've learned, is how important that follow-up is between those 90 days. And that's why the research shows 90 days is the vital time to get people locked in.
I love it. You bang, bang, boom, went right through exactly what the whole process is. And I'm sure because your team and yourself have been so detailed in how you have maybe had started wanting this to look like, and then I'm sure all the experience and the trial and error has given you. So these are huge secrets, you guys. You're learning all of this without all the pain of having to go through what really makes it a great experience. So from what I heard was, it's really, I loved even you guys thinking about the environment, the first environment that person experiences, where they're actually comfortable and they feel motivated and excited to talk about fitness. And then I feel like an educated member, or someone, by educating someone on what you have available to them that really does resonate with them, it will help them last longer just in them knowing not only what's available, but who is available right off the bat. Because I have to say, during this time, I've developed a lot of really good relationships with members that I had never had because of the difficult time we're all going through. And technology has been a struggle for me. And I've noticed that getting to know them on a personal level has made a huge difference. And that connection piece, like you said, it's magical how it makes you feel great as a manager and a leader, and it makes your team feel great, and then that member feels very, very valuable. You had spoken a little bit about your actual membership, so kind of coordinator team, but also that consultation, I guess, the person who's responsible for those consultations. And I believe her name is Alicia, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so she oversees the program. What are some traits that Alicia has that you believe are more valuable for that position, that for someone who maybe owns a gym or is thinking about starting these fitness consultations should look for when trying to put someone in that position or hire someone for that position?
I think first and foremost, and what we absolutely look for, our number one thing we're looking for, is being a super connector. Just everything this person does is all about how she's driven by people, how she can just engage and connect with anybody so very easily. And ultimately, we know, like, you'll always hear Alicia. You can't miss her in the club. She's fairly loud. She knows so many people. She just is like everyone's friend. And that is, again, going back to even the environment, when that person walks in the door for the first time and sees for example, Alicia, you're gonna have a smile on your face. It's warm, it's welcoming. You're gonna get a smile when you walk in the door. You're probably gonna get a little laugh or something with that person, and ultimately it just sets the tone for exactly what you're looking for inside of that space, which is again just engagement. How engaged can I be with this person? And then the next one is really interesting for us is we picked non-fitness. We wanted somebody that was not a fitness person to be our fitness consultant. And the reason for that, I think we just so many times get stuck with, trainers or fitness people that are maybe, very experienced or been in the industry for a long time or anything like that. They do these roles and so many times they're unrelatable. They,
Mhm.
they go into trainer speak, they over talk fitness, and they aren't relating to what that person really needs. They're still putting their own, ideas and agenda inside of that person, even though they aren't trying to. It's not their
Yeah.
intention to do that, but it just has become so easy for them because that's what they've gotten used to during all this time of being in the industry. So non-fitness, and I think what includes with that is just being relatable. Kind of talked about that a little bit before. But even Alicia, she talks about, struggles that she has. And, and she's very fit and in shape and all that. But, because she's not necessarily in the fitness industry, she has struggles like everybody else does. And it doesn't mean that, people in the fitness industry don't have struggles, because we all do. But we talk about them much differently than somebody that's
Yeah.
not a fitness person.
Exactly.
So to get them, again, for me, not being fitness, and I can teach somebody how to learn about fitness and how to be able to talk about it, but not talk about it in trainer talk. Instead, the example that I put in is like, Alicia will be able to talk about a class and how she feels from the class and how she feels after the class, but
Yeah.
not like, oh, well, I did all of this functional training inside of, like, no,
Yeah.
the person on the other side of the table doesn't even really understand what that is.
Mhm.
They want to understand how they're going to feel from it or what they're going to get from it. And Alicia's able to do that in such a great way, again, because she isn't trying to relate it to what fitness is. And then last but not least is you do have to be sales driven. I mean, there has to be still a sales piece to it, but, and I think really important, but is that has to be secondary to the super connector.
Mhm.
And I think the reason for that is, again, we can easily go down that path that we always go down, which is sell, sell, sell. If they don't sell, then, I feel like they aren't going to do well here and da, 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 right? And we talked a lot about Medallia last week too, and there's so much that goes to the idea. Again, if they sign up for personal training or group exercise or massages or nutrition or anything like that, there's a better chance that they get better results. There's a better chance that they enjoy their membership more, that they utilize their membership during the entire time that they have it, and obviously that they stay longer and all that as well, right? But they don't necessarily know that when they sign up for the
Mhm.
club or when they get engaged with us. So we have to be able to take that down and allow that to just be its own. If somebody doesn't sign up, that's okay. That we're going to follow up with them. We're going to make sure they're doing okay. It's still all about being driven by that person instead of, again, if I recommend this for you, this is what you should do. And if you don't, that's kind of it. Or it only can be a sale. And if it's not a sale, then, we aren't giving you any service either. Right.
Mhm.
So again, sales driven, but definitely secondary to that super connector. It was our big focus, and Alicia came from complete sales background, but we knew as we interviewed her that the reason that she was so good at sales was because she was just a great connector with people, and then she just didn't feel bad asking for money, which is perfect in our
Yeah.
world. So
Mhm.
so those are really the qualities that we look for RFC.
I love it. And I bet having the tools and the ability to communicate with the other people who support her in her role, being able to reach out to the group fitness director, being able to reach out to the trainers, and them helping facilitate that and making that important. It sounds like you have a great team overall, which helps.
It does,
But
absolutely.
that can just help her with the value that she's basically portraying. So asking for money can be a lot easier when you are showing
Mhm.
that value and educating them on that value. So I bet communication, she must be really good at that too, that
Mhm.
ability to reach out to various people and keep track of everybody. And that's
And
very impressive.
she's so personable. I mean, it becomes second nature to her, and she wants to. Like she's excited for 90-day follow-ups, and she feels bad if somebody doesn't get the results that they were looking for. And so again, it's just she's so people driven, and a people pleaser really too with it.
Mhm.
That yeah, that's what drives her.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Okay, last question. Thanks for hanging in there with us. I see a few people still here. How do you see this position and this process evolving in the future? And then we'll start to talk about what we have for you guys next week. So we have one more episode. Go ahead.
Sounds great. I think I'll keep this one fairly short. I started with like the things we learned right out of the gate with it. And first was engaging our staff. So many times, again, if we would just do a personal training consult with somebody, like you wouldn't really engage your staff because your staff is already fitness people and they
Mhm.
don't need more fitness. They're already fitness. So when we engage our staff and we got our team doing it across the board, we started realizing all of these things that our fitness people are struggling with because we're not just talking about fitness. We're talking about the person and relating with them and all of that. And a great example was we actually had a yoga instructor who she was very part-time, 1, 2 classes a week. She was teaching all over the place, plus has a full-time job. And so she came in and we just had a great interaction with her. And I really didn't even know her all that much before this. She was still fairly new at that time. And all of a sudden, first of all, we made recommendations for her and she did them and she felt great and made some changes, which was awesome. And then the other side was whenever we recommended yoga class, she would want that person to come to her class. She's like, oh, it's going to be so awesome. I can talk to you about all these things. And she was the first one to start connecting. We didn't realize how important that first email after the connection email came out, that engagement and excitement email, how important it was until she just started doing it. And we were like,
Mhm.
everybody has to do this, because
Yeah.
it makes such a difference. But you realize how energized you can make somebody by getting them engaged in the process, even though you wouldn't expect them to be. And probably what I talked about, it sounds like a lot of work. And honestly, it is. It's definitely a good amount of work for sure. But how I brought it up to my team was you got into this industry for a reason. And all we have to do is play our part in this person's journey to be able to be a part of their process and be able to be a part of the results that they get and their excitement about being there. And that's why we got into it. So, how can each individual space help with following up and connections and integrations and all of those things? Again, it turns out to be much more flawless than we expect. And there's still a lot of crossroads that we need to make, but it's people want to be a part of it. And I think that's the really, really exciting piece too. And then really, there's never enough communication. How do we track their progress? How do we hear their accomplishments, learn their struggles, lead to their all of those things lead to improved personalization. And if we can, again, every different part of their journey, be able to get that information back to the fitness consultant so that she can talk to that person more about it, again, it just shows how much more integrated they are and how much value they're getting from their membership because people are caring, people are putting input in there. There's never too much input when it has to do with the person and how we can help them. And then last but not least, and this is the one that we're probably working on the most now, is how to really improve those communications from beginning to end. And that's from the tour process to the fitness consultation and to every piece afterwards, and making sure we bundle that up really nicely so that it feels organic and it feels very welcomed by the group giving it to them. And then also, again, something that's really just relatable to that person. So they are welcoming the feedback as well. And they can relate to what their results are and what their next steps are kind of in that process. And then really it shows just how connected we are and how we work as a team, which is just vitally important to the success of any fitness industry or fitness business.
Absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, I find during this time, there's almost a need. The instructors and the trainers really enjoy working together to help foster the success of a facility that they work for. They're really trying to help be a part of that. And it's interesting to me to think about, as you evolve in this process, that the information the members are giving you is more than just data points, more than just how many check-ins do they do, what classes do they go to, and it's just a number. It's so much more than that you're experiencing and learning as a club. So that brings me to the next week. So while you've heard all these great benefits of like, hey, we're going to get a lot of members if we try this, we're going to make more money if we do this, there are so many hidden benefits that Jacob and I have talked about prior to these interviews that I want you guys to learn about and hear. So we have one final interview next week, and I'm sure we'll have Jacob back again sometime in the future. But come join us next week. If you enjoyed the video today, make sure you like it and then subscribe to this channel so that you can get notified when new videos are coming. And I cannot wait to interview again. So same time, 2 p.m. Pacific time, Wednesday afternoon, next Wednesday. And I appreciate your time so much, Jacob. Such good information. I hope you guys took lots of notes.
Thanks, Stacey. It's awesome. I love being a part of it, and hope that we can continue to help this fitness industry, strive and get through these difficult times that we're in. And I'm gonna do everything I can to help with that. So thanks for letting me do it.
Of course. And remember, guys, you can go to razorsharpfit.com. You can check out their Instagrams, their Facebooks, get to know them a bit as a club and a facility. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.